They say that Christmas Eve is supposed to be the start of festivities and joy. However, for Stakehouse fans and football fans in general, it's the start of a 2-day Premier League hiatus. Never fear though, Boxing Day sees the launch of a new Premier League game week. After that, the football comes thick and fast, and that's our real Christmas. I'm Conal McCabe, not joined today, as you can see, by my co-pilot, Lucas Dzinski. Lucas is currently holed up in exile in Poland, so please send thoughts and prayers for a safe return there as soon as possible. Ransom fees have been offered and currently rejected, so discussions are ongoing, and hopefully we manage to bring this matter to a very quick conclusion. Anyhow, life goes on, and we're here with predictions for you guys across the Christmas period. We're doing the episode today, and we'll do something else again on the 29th to make sure that we cover the fixtures across the new year as well. Before diving into the games, just want to talk about Antoine Semenyo quickly and his situation with his release clause. It looks like United and City, the two Manchester clubs, are the front runners. As a United fan, you know, obviously I'd love to see Antoine Semenyo in a red or any other United colour shirt for that matter. However, when I look at our squad and what we really need in terms of reinforcements, number 10 is the one position where we do have enough cover. So I'm not saying I wouldn't want us to go for him, but I think there are more important positions that Ruben Amorim needs to look at filling over the course of this transfer window. If we can do that and bring in Antoine Semenyo, then that's amazing, but I don't think that as a club we're in a position to do that, unfortunately. And that then leaves Semenyo in a tricky position. Where can he look at going? I mean, he's at a stage in his life, in his career, where he needs to play football. You look at Man City, Chelsea, Arsenal, they're all, even United to an extent, they're all quite well covered in those wide positions. And it feels like Semenyo would be going in there having to fight for his spot and wouldn't be guaranteed as much game time as he might like. The only other club that you would want to suggest him looking at is potentially Newcastle. You know, when you look at their wide men, they've got the likes of Harvey Barnes. You'd expect Semenyo to start ahead of the likes of him. And I feel like he'd be a great fit up in the northeast. So whether Newcastle can accommodate that in terms of their FFP considerations is another matter, but I definitely think that's one place where he could thrive. The only other club you might think about is Spurs, but you would really not advocate on anybody going there at the moment until the picture is much clearer in terms of the direction the club is heading in as a whole, to be honest. Anyway, let's dive in. We have 6 tips coming up for you, spanning across the games across the next 3 days. So let's dive straight in. The first game is Manchester United versus Newcastle under the lights on Boxing Day. And I do have an official tip straight off the bat for you guys here. And it's goals. Over 2.5 goals with both teams scoring. So if both teams score, then we simply need one other goal coming from anywhere to win the bet. The price for this is 1.83. And still a little bit of value there. This bet has copped in United's last 3 games. Look a lot sharper going forward. Admittedly, the loss of Mbeumo and Ahmad to the AFCON is a little bit of a blip, but Mason Mount is, as I say, starting to come into form. I've talked about that in the last few pods. And United do look a lot more dangerous going forward this season. At the back, things are still shaky. There's not enough cover in central midfield, which is one of the things I was alluding to with the Semenyo deal. I think that's an area that we need to focus on more. I think we look light there. So I think that Newcastle can have joy going the other way, but I think we can cause problems as well. For Newcastle, not the strongest team defensively. They're still leaking quite a lot of goals. So I think that backing the over 2.5 in both teams to score here, very, very confident of that one landing. Moving on, we've got Forest versus Man City. And this is a start of us actually backing against favourites this game week, because it's a very unpredictable time around Christmas in terms of knowing who's really truly focused, who isn't. With the games coming thick and fast, obviously a lot of teams have to rotate as well. A lot of the favourites are quite short prices, so expect a few surprising predictions here. And we start with Forest versus Man City, and this one actually comes directly from Poland. It was included as a footnote in Lucas's release note. He's gone with Forest +1 on the Asian handicap, which is priced at 1.88, directly from Lucas's model. And what that means is if we're backing Forest at +1, if they draw or win against Man City, then the bet wins. If they lose by 1 goal, then we get a refund. If they lose by more than 1 goal, then we lose the bet. I have to say, I quite like it as well. I think that Forest are definitely heading in the right direction on the dice. They look a strong unit. There's a good togetherness about them. I think City will be looking at this game, just get out of there with any sort of win. I think if you offered City 1-0 win right now, they'd take it. And from a mentality perspective, at least, it means that this bet does appear to be value. But I personally wouldn't be surprised if Forest got a result here. So I'm going to tip up a 1-1 here. And I think that Lucas's bet, straight from his model, has a good chance of copping. Next, we have Arsenal versus Brighton. And this is definitely a banana skin. Brighton at home is a fixture that nobody, particularly the top teams, want to play. Brighton did a great job away at Chelsea, scoring 3 goals there, getting the win. And very unpredictable side. But just so difficult to play against, particularly when the emphasis is on you to take the game to them. Arsenal, of course, not having a great period. Again, Palace took them all the way to pens last night in the Carabao Cup. They were awful against Wolves, truly awful. I mean, fair play to them getting the job done in the end. I talked about what a massive moment that goal was, but at the moment they are really having to grind it out. Any sort of win they'd be delighted with against Brighton, and we can back Brighton on the Asian handicap model, plus 1.25, and we can get almost even money for that. 1.98. This is my nap of the week, guys. So what that means basically is if Brighton win or draw, we win the full bet at close to evens. If Brighton lose by 1 goal, we still win half the money. So we still end up with a good profit, even if they lose by a goal, which is a result Arsenal would be delighted with. And if they lose by 2 or more, then we lose the bet. But I think that Brighton will go to the Emirates and will get a result there. So definitely looking forward to watching that one win. Brentford versus Bournemouth is up next. I've got another tip on this one. We've got a home win lined up. Bournemouth really starting to feel the effects of the loss of Zabarny, Hoyson. Those players were really instrumental for them last year. So they managed to paper over the cracks for a few months, but now those cracks are appearing. They've been very leaky. Their XG against is really high as well. So this is a sort of game where Brentford need to get back on track with a morale-boosting home win, but generally the G-Tech is very reliable when it comes to that. So expect a home win. However, I think Bournemouth can cause problems going the other way. I think it'll be a high-scoring game. I can see something like 3-1 Brentford here. So the tip is Brentford to win and both teams to score, which is priced at a very healthy 4.0. So that's an official tip. Feel free to get on board. Moving on, we got Burnley versus Everton. I think that evens on Everton will tempt a lot of you in here. Don't let it. Burnley can be a very sticky side at home. You look at the fact they pushed Liverpool all the way to the 90th minute. They didn't make life easy for a few of the other teams, top teams at home either. Everton, while obviously improving under Moyes, doing well, I just think evens to jump on them to win at Burnley is a little bit too short here. My prediction for the game is actually a 1-1 draw. Moving on, we've got Liverpool versus Wolves. Again, I think a lot of people will jump on a convincing Liverpool win here, expect them to run riot. I don't think that will be the case again. It wouldn't surprise me if they labour. So I'd be wary of backing a cricket score. Again, you've got Alexander Isak, who is out for a long time with a suspected broken leg. Obviously devastating for him. I actually think in this game it'll work in his favour though. I think the lively Ekitike playing up front might just have a little bit more of an impact against Wolves in terms of pulling that defence out of position, which will sit in very deep in the same way that it did against Arsenal. So I think it could actually work in their favour for this game. I think Liverpool will get over the line, but it could be a lot closer than many of you think. So no bet for me on that one. And no bet for me on the next one as well. West Ham United versus Fulham. Hands down, the two most unpredictable teams in the league. So when they face off each other, I'm not touching it with a barge pole, and I don't advocate that you do either. If you're really desperate to feel something while watching the game, my advice is go for a draw, because the draw is the biggest price. And that's as far as the logic goes. The draw comes in at around 3.4, which is not a terrible price. So that should give you a run for your money, because I don't see either team running away from it. And that's probably what I'd predict. Again, I think I'd sit on the fence and say 1-1 yet again with that one. Next, we have Chelsea versus Aston Villa. It feels like this is where Villa's run comes to an end. They've been on an unbelievable run. And, you know, Lucas is a big fan of pointing to XG with this one in terms of saying that Villa are overperforming. And how often can they keep delivering the goods? You know, how often can Morgan Rogers come up with two worldies in the same game? And while relevant points, there's different ways of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is that they're finding a way to win. They're finding a way to get over the line, and that is a hallmark of champions and what champions do. And make no mistake, if Villa go away to Chelsea and win, they are in the title race without a shadow of a doubt. You could argue that they are anyway. However, I think they will come unstuck at Stamford Bridge. I do think Chelsea are too short to back at under even money, though, so we can't touch that. I think it could be another entertaining game. Maybe a 2-2 draw. So for me, there's no bet, but I think it should be a very, very good watch. Next, we have Sunderland versus Leeds. And I have got a tip for this one. I think there'll be a little bit of needle in this game. I think that Sunderland and Leeds both wanted to be the big promotion story this season. And I don't think either expected the other to do quite so well, particularly Sunderland, of course, who are flying. But Leeds have also undergone a revival in the last few weeks. Dominic Calvert-Lewin hitting his stride is a big plus for them. Had confidence that he would come round at some point. Had him in my fantasy team. Unfortunately, took him out just before he started on his good run. However, I think that in terms of predicting a result here, I think it's very, very difficult to do. I think it'd be a tight game, maybe 2-1 Leeds, actually. But in terms of my tip, I want to focus on the cards market. I think tackles will be flying in this one. I think it could be quite a dirty game. And what we can do is we can tip up over 3.5 cards. So effectively 2 each side, around that sort of average. And we can get 2.37 on the exchange for that. So basically we need 4 or more cards to win. Final game, we have got Palace versus Spurs. Palace, I mean, what can you say? Another grueling game last night, taken all the way to penalties. Another injury. They're just in a really, really rough spot. They've got to get the checkbook out in January. I mean, Glasner, the problem they have, I guess, is that Glasner's leaving at this point anyway, and they're safe from relegation this season. So from a board perspective, you could even argue, what's the motivation for spending at this point? Surely it's better to wait until they have a new manager and then buy in players who are more adaptable to his methods. So if you want to look at it in a very defensive way, there's a good chance Palace actually won't spend, which of course will be the final straw for Glasner, and he'll be off. But as I say, I think he will be either way. What that results in is expect Palace to plummet down the table. I've said it for a few weeks. I'm sticking with this mantra because I genuinely believe it's going to happen. It's nothing against Palace. I actually feel really sorry for the Palace fans in terms of their ownership, who I think have massively let them down, not expecting them to get into Europe, not spending the money in the summer. Their chairman being naive enough to have, not the chairman, but a key stakeholder being naive enough to have money into potential European clubs. Again, not backing Glasner in a way that they should. I think the Palace fans have a right to feel really, really let down. Spurs, I mean, what can you say? It was an absolute shocker at the City ground, wasn't it? They're in free fall. It looks like confidence in Thomas Frank is completely gone. I still think the players, with the way that, you know, the likes of Van de Ven avoided him on the pitch that time, I think plays such a big role in this. I don't think it ever just gets brushed under the carpet. I really don't. I think that plays into the minds of fans. Obviously, results haven't helped as well. I think fans have completely lost faith. The game itself wouldn't surprise me which way that it went, but what I would say is that Palace, with so many games, I just think they're too short at 5-4, 2.25 to win this game. It's just too short. Do I think Tottenham will definitely win this game? No, I don't. But I think they're worth taking a small chance on at 3.25 because I do think they win this game 1 in 3 times. And it's not really as a nod to their strengths, but more of a nod to how stretched Palace are and their overexertions. So I can't believe I'm saying it, but I am going to tip up Tottenham as an official price at 3.25. So there you have it, a very quick rundown of all 10 Premier League fixtures. Let's recap our main tips. We have got United, Newcastle, both teams to score and over 2.5 goals at 1.88. We have 1.83. We have got Forest +1 on the Asian handicap against Man City at 1.88. We have Brighton at +1.25 on the Asian handicap at 1.98, which is the nap of the week. We have Brentford to win and both teams to score against Bournemouth at a very healthy 4.0. We have got over 3.5 cards in Sunderland versus Leeds at 2.37. And finally, we have Spurs to win, God help me, away at Palace at 3.25. Just bring on all of the hate now. And that's it for the Christmas game week. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Good luck with the punting, whichever the tips you decide to get on and which of them you decide to run a mile from. Either way, enjoy your football and take care of yourselves.